We're theme park families.
Theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Won't you join us now?
We're theme park families.
Thanks for joining us, we aim to please.
If roller coasters got you weak in the knees,
We're theme park families.
if you wanna find the best dessert or
Take a potty break with privacy,
find a coaster that is tame for little ones,
or one to make you scream.
we're theme park families.
Everybody's ready, babies.
Rescuing you all from life's drudgeries.
We're theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Press the space bar. Yeah.
Yay!
Well, we're not a teen anymore.
We're at 20.
Let's say who me. Let's do that. Well, we're not a teen anymore.
What was I gonna say?
Who me?
Oh, okay.
Well, we're not a teen anymore.
Who, me?
Oh, you're not even 10 yet. Us. Episode 20. Well, I'm Adam.
And I'm Andrew.
And thanks for joining us for this episode of Theme Park Families. I think we're still recovering about a week and a half later after our epic trip. 12 days, 18 states, and about 11 parks.
Yeah,
Pretty
right,
crazy.
that's a-
Which included Waldameer, Kings Island, Six Flags St. Louis, Bigfoot on the Strip, Silver Dollar City, Six Flags Over Texas, Fiesta Texas, Kemah Boardwalk, taking a look at the sad, dilapidated, rundown New Orleans. Then Six Flags Over Georgia, onto Carowinds, and back home. Was it a fun trip for you?
Yep. It was a very long one, and then about 3/4 of the way through, we were telling each other we were about done.
Yeah, we were ready to get home. Still, every step of it was fun. And to be able to drive through that much of the country and see so many diverse, beautiful sights and unique, interesting people, it just makes you realize what a wonderful country this is and how many different places and what a vast country it is. So what a great trip. But I felt bad because Maddie and Melissa weren't able to go. Melissa couldn't get that much time off from work. And so we talked to them quite often throughout the trip. And poor Maddie was so sad she got left out of riding the coasters. And we promised her, don't worry, as soon as we get home, we'll take you. So 2 days after we got back, we went to Dorney so Maddie could go to the water park and ride some rides in the park. And we made it up to her a little bit, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we had such a brilliant time at the meetup, and both those episodes of Bigfoot on the Strip and the meetup at Silver Dollar City are now available on Coasterradio, and that's why we waited a little while. We wanted for those two episodes to be put out before we put this one out, so that you could listen from Coasterradio's perspective how everything went. But it was a brilliant time, turned out to be a great day. Would you agree one of the best meetups we've had so far?
Yeah, definitely. It was great.
Just amazing, and so many people there that we knew, and it was a great reunion there. Met a couple of great new friends, and that's what these meetups are all about. For this episode today, we're going to take a little break from our traditional format.
Yeah.
For the next episode, we'll do our ride of the day, Andrew's news, and tip of the day. But for this episode, we've got a lot of other stuff. So let's get to it. We talked about Silver Dollar City last year in pretty good detail and mentioned all the rides. Where that was our Missouri trip where we met Slater out there and did the 3 Missouri parks. So we detailed a lot of the specific experiences there. So we're going to take a little break from that format since we've kind of already have done that. Instead, we like to talk, but what we like even more than that is to hear our friends talk. And so for this episode, we did a bunch of interviews that day, waiting in lines, eating lunch, that type of thing, with different people that we know, getting their perspective of the park, especially those who were first-timers to the park, because that's what we really wanted to see, what people thought of the park for their first time. Because last year, being there for the first time, what was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was great. It just blew my mind how attention to detail there was and how friendly the employees were and how nice the park looked. And actually the food is great too. The second time we went there for the meetup, We ate lunch at this place kind of in between Powder Cake and Wildfire. They were kind of like tacos.
Oh, the fry bread?
Yeah, the fried bread. They so good.
Yeah, and that was one thing that we didn't get last year, so that was kind of cool, and I think it's one of their signature food items.
Yeah, I would definitely get that if you were there and it was like a day trip.
You were actually disappointed that Alex, you, and I shared 2 of them because you wanted to eat your own. You liked it that much, and you're not the biggest eater, so that was pretty impressive. Well, we've got a large group of people here who we interviewed, including longtime friends, some new friends, some podcasters, and some big stars. So, what do you say we get right to it?
Let's do it.
Our first interview was in line for the log flume, which, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it's called right now. Maybe something about America.
American Plunge, something like that.
Okay, I'll take it. Or Patriot Plunge. Boy, that almost sounds like it would sound better. And I love that area that it was in, right next to the entrance.
Right next to Wildfire and in those trees.
And I think to some people, we might have talked about it last year, it could be confusing, right? Because it's the same bridge entrance to go to both rides.
Yeah,
so
it's very confusing.
It is a little weird.
You stay to the left for the log flume and you stay to the right for Wildfire.
Which is kind of unique and just, again, one of those cool things there. All tucked in the trees. And the log flume was kind of interesting, where it had that big tunnel to start out with, right?
Yeah, a huge random tunnel. It was very random. There was nothing in it. It had nothing to do with the actual log flume. It was...
And I think Lake Winnie has a water ride that I've showed you the pictures of recently, the one that goes into the lake, which is kind of unique. I think which also has a tunnel. And spoiler alert, so if you don't want to know and you want to go to Silver Dollar City, exactly, go like 10 seconds in the future. But my favorite part of it is when you come out of the tunnel, that little fake out that they have.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that was?
So, right after the tunnel, there were sprinklers.
Coming out of figures or something like that?
Coming out of figures that would spray you. Then right as you got there, they would eventually go down a little bit so you wouldn't get them.
You were in front, I was behind you, I think?
Yeah.
And so the whole time I was like, oh man, I really didn't want to get this wet. And just before you get there, the fountains shut off, and it's such a cool fake out. I don't even really remember the final drop, but I don't think it was anything that great.
Well, it was because you got really wet.
Okay, so yeah, I remember we did get wet. And it wasn't that hot of a day, but we'll talk about weather and all that a little bit later on. So we interviewed our friend Reece. And Reece, you might know from In the Loop. He was on In the Loop Live with Clint Novak and Randall. He's been in a number of videos on In the Loop, including a famous one where he plays basketball at King's Dominion, and I think threw up something like 47 consecutive air balls. I don't know if you've ever seen that video, Andrew, but that's a pretty amusing one. It might have been 157 air balls. I don't really remember. But Reece, we recently hung out with at Cedar Point for Drunken Vengeance, and he was a big part of the video that just came out about a week and a half ago. And that was the video that Clint and Sherry and Reece were working on as their project for Cedar Point.
And for the Airbnb.
Yeah, to pay for their Airbnb doing their work. And what was the basis of their video?
It's basically stuff you could do at Cedar Point. And so they did theirs on all the money that you can spend at Cedar Point.
On extra things, like the special rides that you can pay for, like the sky coaster and the catapult.
And then the caricatures, the silhouettes, the face paint, and
henna
airbrush
tattoos.
T-shirts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So many different things.
Midway games.
And the Midway games. So Reece was definitely the star of that, as well as his athletic prowess is just unparalleled. And he's one of the mac and cheese bros, as you guys forever, Andrew, Alex, and Reece will always have that connection of having mac and cheese together, and you will forever be the mac and cheese bros. Let's hear what he had to say. It is a Saturday during Coasterradio Meetup, and we are waiting in line for the log flume. And we're going to start hearing some perspectives of first-time visitors. And who better to start with for our first time than this honorary guest? So name and where you're from.
My name is Reece, and I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
I hear it's a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place if you like gross cities and I don't know.
Speaking of beautiful places,
yes,
we are at Silver Dollar City, and this is your first time here.
This is my first time here.
Some of your observations, what do you think of the park so far?
So I really like it. I think this is a great park. There's definitely some similarities to Dollywood in terms of like the atmosphere of the park for sure. And even they have cinnamon bread. I will be taking advantage of this. But what I was saying to you earlier is we've ridden 4 of the roller coasters now. We've been on, or 4 or 5. We've been on Powder Keg, Time Traveler, Fire in the Hole,
Outlaw Run.
Outlaw Run, so 4.
Yeah.
And 3 of those, all of them except for Fire in the Hole, they have like either a launch or a lift hill right at the end, and then like a drop and it goes into the breaker.
Kind of weird.
It was, and the mine train.
And the mine train.
That's what I meant.
Right. Not Outlaw Run, but the mine train.
Exactly.
Yes.
So like, the design of some of these roller coasters is really unique.
Yes.
So I've loved it. I've liked everything we've been on.
Very interesting coaster collection, absolutely. So, Time Traveler to you, your favorite so far?
Definitely. It's.
Well, we say that, but your number 1 favorite coaster is here, though.
That's not true. My
Oh no, at Dollywood.
My
that's
favorite
right.
coaster is Blazing Fury, and that is at Dollywood.
Yeah. Okay, and so you thought Fire in the Hole nowhere near as good.
It's simple. It's Adam. You ever heard of a meme?
I have. What? That's
a meme.
It's a meme. Okay.
My real favorite coaster is Steel Pigeons.
So the memes are funnier.
The meme is that Blazing Fury is the best ride of all time, and Fire in the Hole is the worst.
Well, it's kind of like there's some guy from In the Loop who believes Magnum is his favorite coaster, right?
Speaking of Drew the Insect.
Yeah, and so that's a meme of what you speak of, right?
I don't know, Matt. You're going to offend some people.
No. I agree that's a meme.
I can't agree that that's...
It's a thing. It's his comedy shtick. It's not really his favorite coaster in the world.
Magnum is a very beloved ride. I think that Drew has some nostalgia towards that coaster in particular.
Right. Nostalgia doesn't mean best coaster, so we're going to go with meme.
Well,
just say it. Go on record and say it's a meme.
I can't say it's a meme.
You don't want to get kicked out of In the Loop. That's what
I don't think I'm even a part of In the Loops. I'm just like Clint Novak's guy that gets dragged along in certain videos.
Okay, In the Loop on air was a thing, and you were a part of it.
Yes.
You're on In the Loop. That's you.
Yes.
I mean, who knows? That could come back at some point.
It could come back. We've been talking about it.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any interest in people seeing it come back, but
would you like to see In the Loop on air come back?
Yeah, sure.
Would you?
Definitely.
2 fans right there who want to see it come back. What more do you need?
We're talking about it.
Okay.
It's in discussion. It's just difficult to make something happen.
Yeah.
But
the talks are there, and it's got to start somewhere, so that is good.
So you guys are liking the park? How many times have you been here?
This is our 2nd time.
Yes, our 2nd time, and to me, it's my favorite overall park. Not saying it's necessarily the best coaster collection in the world, but overall, everything put together, favorite park.
That's wild.
They have everything a park needs, basically.
Yeah, they really do. And maybe not the largest, most intense, crazy rides, but definitely in a lot of ways, some of my favorite.
And we just ate lunch a couple minutes ago, and we ate this really delicious meal. It was mind-blowing.
The fry bread? Is
yeah.
That one? Yeah.
With,
We had that as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It was so good.
And so your first Coasterradio Meetup, well, what do you think of the experience?
First Coasterradio Meetup, excited to be here. I'm here because it's my friend Steven's birthday, so we're here celebrating that.
Yes, it's a lot of birthdays going on.
This has been a great event, and last night at Bigfoot on the Strip, that was a shocker.
Yeah.
The whole night was a shocker, so that was really fun. So I've been happy with the entire
It's a
event.
crazy back-to-back experience. Exactly. Bigfoot on the Strip could not have been any more interesting and different. Thinking of it almost like a place sort of like Central Park Funland, which is an amazing place, but very different in a lot of ways too. So
it was just this dark ride that they had. Was it a dark ride? What would you call that?
Which one are we talking about?
The Bigfoot Wood Expedition.
Oh,
yeah.
That's an experience. I don't even know if that's a ride.
You have to ride this ride with Adam from Theme Park Families.
Wow.
That made the experience.
Wow, that is excellent. So maybe they could hire me, and then I'll just be a part of that ride permanently, and say the same funny things over and over, and then
that's what made it.
It was incredible. So many interesting parts about it. That's undoubtedly going to be a highlight of the trip.
Yeah, for sure.
As we're about to get onto Log Flume, I'm so glad it worked out just in the last week that you were able to come out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
That's great. And there will be definitely future Coasterradio meetups happening, so we hope to see you back again.
Hopefully I'll be able to come through.
Okay.
Glad I could be here.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So while we have just another couple seconds, any other thoughts about Silver Dollar City?
Well, I haven't seen everything that the park has to offer. Haven't done the cave tour yet. Haven't ridden Wildfire. Haven't done the, I want to do the Fun House?
Oh, yeah, Grandpa's. Yeah.
Want to do that. And I've also heard, and I know you're not into this, very good things about the wild water rafting ride.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I don't really like those rides rides. We're going to look at that too. So
It's the whole, shoes and socks getting soaked thing. I think that's it. So you got that. You got the train ride.
we brought flip-flops for that. And the train as well.
Yes, exactly.
So by the time we do all of that, my opinion may be changed.
For the better.
For
Yeah.
saying that it's better than Dollywood.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe we'll even come back to you in the night and see how that's changed.
We'll see.
I love it. All right, well, thanks for sharing, and we'll check in with you a little bit more later.
Thank you.
Awesome. So that was very cool to hear from Reece, and he had a lot of interesting things to say about Bigfoot and that special ride out into the wilderness, and that's something we can chat about here for a second. Did that ride, the expedition, shock you?
Oh, it was amazing. It blew my mind. Absolutely.
So much thanks to Emma and that whole experience at Bigfoot on the Strip. They were amazing. They really took care of us. They were so friendly, and she was great. Her interview is terrific. She's got a lot of spirit. That whole day was so much different that Friday than I thought it would be. The 2 rides that you did that I didn't even get to do, I've got to do it next time we go. Between the drop tower and the catapult, which one did you like better?
It's hard to say. Like the drop tower, it's a lot more intimidating. It's kind of nerve-wracking when you get to the top.
Which
And
is
then-
saying a lot for you. There's not much that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. And then also, the super sling, it's very interesting. It's kind of like a slingshot, basically, but it's still a little different. And then once you get to the top, you do a flip, and it feels very weird.
It's kind of a slow flip as you're up there.
Yeah.
I love the lighting package. That was one of the things where the lighting package on the whole tower, which is the tallest point of Branson downtown, where the whole lighting package syncs with the music. Like Welcome to the Jungle, and there were a couple of the songs, and that is just amazing to see. What else? Well, the mini golf was very good, and I guess
Yeah.
the 2 of us did okay in that tournament, so that was pretty good.
Yep, we got first and second.
Not bad. And so we got some nice Coasterradio swag for that, and some nice Bigfoot swag. Some very cool stuff. What do they call it? The maze?
Yeah,
kinda
like
section?
the Yeti zone, where there's a maze, and then there are legit tunnels. Like, you can go in like a tunnel, and then it's like you have to crawl, but it's legit. It goes pretty far. And then there's also like a observation tower, and then there's actually a really fun it's called the monkey jump, where you jump around
Maybe
10
15 feet.
10 to
something.
15 feet onto this big air mattress. And I actually, out of all the 3 things there, out of the monkey jump, the gravity bomb, and the super sling, I was the most scared of that one.
Interesting, because that's the one that Alex loved and he kept doing over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason is
It's
because
different.
there's no harness. I could, if I land the right way, I could snap my legs or hurt them.
I guess the theory is that bag is so squishy that no matter how you land, you're not going to get hurt. But yeah, I can see that being weirder.
But once you did it, it's very fun. It's very fun.
And it's cool that you mentioned that observation tower. It's something like the Yeti's treehouse or something like that.
Yeti house.
And that top there, it gives you actually a great view of the drop tower. So that's a cool vantage point. When Mike and EB were going on it, that's where I was. So it gave me a cool vantage point to be able to watch Chris and Bob the Lobster and all the rest of the crew go on it. Also, the arcade, you and EB's kids spent a good amount of time in the arcade. And with that, and I think you liked it, that dark ride.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to see it.
Well,
I didn't get to do a lot of things there.
It's not really a dark ride. It's kind of like Plants vs. Zombies at Carowinds, so you're sitting on a little motorbike or something. There are 3 different levels, and you usually ask the person up front to start it for you and to say, oh, I want this level. And so there's one level that's cowboys, there's one that's breaking Bigfoot and his family, and then some other wild animals from the laboratory. And then the last one is a zombie invasion. And they're all pretty fun.
And that's great that you got to experience all those games. I know Alex was a little freaked out by the zombie thing, so he didn't want to do it. We got to talk about that last ride, the expedition. Well, first of all, getting into these giant vehicles, these off-roading Jeep large vehicles. I was surprised the trip took as long as it was. I'd say it's about almost 15 minutes outside that you drive to. And we were kind of laughing at points because it's amazing some of the roads that this thing was going up and down. And these weren't smooth paved roads or even packed down dirt roads. At times it felt like all you were going through was potholes, right?
Yeah. It was straight up rocks for a lot of it. And around the middle, it was kind of scary because it was a really narrow road with a kind of big truck. And then the left side of you They were like, it wasn't steep down, but it was a kind of drop.
Right, it was downhill, but there are trees blocking you, so it's not like you'd fly too far. But it just adds to that excitement level. And it's kind of neat how you just start out and you're driving and they're showing you the property. You get to see the Scottish longhorn cows, which were pretty neat, and take a break to feed them. But then the speaker system starts telling the story. And this is where it starts to feel a lot like Jaws, where you've got this whole storyline.
And then, there's like a guy screaming like, oh, we need your help. There's one of the trucks that got broken down by something. It's like right behind you. And then your truck says, no, we don't have time. We can't go back.
Yeah, there's the basis of the story, which we won't give anything else away. And that sets the premise that there are other trucks on the property that are in trouble. Some of the scenes that you drive past, just sort of little settings, some of them completely natural, feel a little simplistic at first, and then it builds and builds and builds to cliff walls and hieroglyphics, as EB mentioned. And then the incredible finale with great special effects just blows you away. Something Universal level, if we had ever been to Universal to know what that level is. But what an exciting, enjoyable ride. And like I mentioned on Coasterradio, I thought it was just going to be drive through a nice pretty piece of land. There's a guy in a suit 150 yards away that kind of dashes through some trees and you're like, hey, I see the Yeti. That's what I thought it was truly going to be. Or Bigfoot. They have all those different names in there. Different parts of the world, they call it different things. So it was a brilliant Friday night before we even got to Silver Dollar City. It was a great night. We were the last ones who left. We were there so late just doing different things.
Yep.
And yes, it was so funny, the bus that we were on that expedition, because we were all just laughing and joking.
At the end,
and it was very cool.
And at the end, it got a flat tire, so...
I think there was something lodged in the tire, and that was it. He didn't change the tire. It, slipped off the rim, and they just had to push it back on. I think that's what it was. And it was funny. That happened about a half mile outside of the gate that we had to pull over. We heard the noise that there was something wrong with the tire, and we pulled over right next to this rock ledge on the side of the road. And we were thinking, is this part of the ride? Is this part of the theming? Is there a Yeti that's going to jump off the ledge at this point? But no, they just truly had to fix the tire. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. And also, one other thing, we saw actual armadillos.
Oh, yeah, that was very cool. And not necessarily part of the tour. Seeing armadillos, and we saw 2 of them. I've never seen an armadillo in my life. I had no idea that they were there, but such alien, cool-looking creatures. So that was kind of neat. Armadillos and the cows. Well, from there, a couple of hours later, we were in the cave tour room, and we were one group away from going into the cave.
Yeah.
So you've got to luck out and be in the... How many is it? Is it 60, 50 on a tour?
70.
70?
Yeah.
70? Is that the number you remember? We lucked out that we got into it. That was a busy day, and the cave tour was pretty packed, and there were a bunch of time slots that were already taken up and reserved.
Yeah, it was us, Ryan and Julie, and then Mike and Greg.
Yes, a number of us who were in that tour together, including this group of 4 who we called the ICEE 4 because they were all wearing the blue traditional ICEE shirts, and that was very creative of them to wear those since it's the summer of ICEE. Hashtag ICEE life, right?
Yep.
Word. That was Steven, Reece, Jordan, and Sarah, who were the ICEE 4, and we had talked to Jordan. He was part of the interview that we did at Cedar Point. So second time we got to hang out with him, and it was good to meet Sarah and Steven. While in line, you have one group who's getting a little bit of a talk about what to expect on the cave tour, and then you have another group behind that who's waiting in line, and that's when we did this recording as we were waiting.
And then there's 3 groups that are in it. One group that's about to leave, one group that's in the middle, and then one group that's just starting.
It's a little loud in there as we're recording because it's a pretty small confined space and everyone's talking as they're waiting for that half an hour. Oh. And when it was our turn to go and we were getting our briefing, I don't know if you thought this, I felt sad for our tour guide, or at least the person who gave us that speech, because the group that was waiting when we were getting our speech, they were so loud, so this guy had to yell over that group. So I thought that was a little bit rude.
Yeah. And it was Steven's birthday, right?
Oh, yes, very good. So a little bit of foreshadowing here. A special day for him as part of that ICEE 4. Excellent memory. So let's hear what the ICEE 4 had to say. All right, so we're continuing our first experienced people for Silver Dollar City. Let's hear from some other members of the ICEE 4. First of all, with the ICEE 4, whose inspiration was it to wear the ICEE 4? Okay.
Was it me? Yeah. Was it me?
Was it me?
I have text proof.
Was it me?
Text proof? Okay, so textual proof. You can't deny. All right, so
I just assumed it was Jordan.
so first name and where you're from.
My name is Sarah. I'm from Columbus.
Columbus, a beautiful city.
Yeah.
So first time here, Sarah.
Second time here.
Oh, second time for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think I can honestly be
no,
honest.
Well, but so second time isn't too much. Well, first of all, the ICEE shirts.
Yeah.
Just to get on Mike and Evie's good side, is that what that was? Or?
I think it was more for the laugh.
And it worked. I'm still laughing.
You refer to that as a meme, Adam?
What's your meme, Sonny? How does that work? Is that with the computer? Is that what that is? Oh, she's so embarrassing. Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, and it works. We've been talking about the shirts all day. It just look great. Okay, second impression. So your thoughts on Silver Dollar City so far?
I think it's a really great park. It's really beautiful. I like that there's a lot of trees here. And it's really shaded. Unlike some other parks where you go and you die in the heat.
You mean like in Northern Ohio?
Yeah, exactly like in Northern Ohio.
Yeah. Favorite rides for you so far? A couple of your highlights of today.
Well, of course, Outlaw Run.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love an RMC.
Exactly.
And
Your favorite RMC or?
No.
Okay. But up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up there.
All right.
And then Thunderation is one of my all-time favorites.
I don't.
I love a good mine train.
Yeah,
so.
it is incredible and one of the best mine trains. What do you like about Thunderation?
That he likes going into the tunnel.
So fast. By the time you hit that tunnel, it is going at shocking speeds. And I think a lot of people are so used to mine trains that they get on that and think, oh, it's just going to be like every other one. And yeah, it's kind of shocking. Although, Andrew, what did we just hear in the line for Thunderation? What was someone asking?
Somebody asked, I think this might have been the most GP thing ever. Does this go upside down?
Oh.
And did it go upside down? I don't even. No, not really.
Well, and somebody, when we were doing helixes, somebody said, oh, we're doing loop-de-loops.
Yeah. Capital G, capital V. Yeah, a sideways loop-de-loop. That's a great way to describe it. Very cool. And your first Coasterradio Meetup.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the whole experience so far?
It's been pretty fun so far. Everyone's really friendly, easy to talk to.
Okay, so not too many awkwardness and crazy weird moments. That is good.
Not too many.
Excellent to hear. And then moving on to someone we've talked to before, just within the last month and a half, it's been on an episode and connected to the lovely lady we just chatted with.
Yes, this is Jordan Hill from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, so cool. So it's your second time as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I figured it was a package deal. So what have been some of the highlights of your day? Did you do anything today that you guys didn't do last time since you've only been here once?
Last time we were here was 2017, so Time Traveler is completely new.
Okay.
Very, very good. One of the more unique rides I think I've ever been on. I've never been a big fan of spinning coasters, but this one doesn't do enough spinning to make me hate it or anything.
Yeah, so like the Pandemonium clones, the Six Flag ones.
Nothing like an Exterminator, a Primeval World Disney. The big spinning and stuff, that gets me. But this has the perfect amount. It's not too intense. It's I guess low key in its spinning, and it's just really good time.
Yeah, and so your favorite ride here, would you say? Would you go to that level or?
No.
No, okay. That would still be. Or it's a tough choice.
It might be Thunderation.
Okay.
Over Outlaw.
It is so funny, and I think Nathan Slater would be very happy hearing that, as that is his baby in the park, and shocking. And you ride a ride like that, and you wish, why can't every arrow be like that, right?
Exactly.
Yep. So just such a great ride.
Right.
All right, excellent.
Uses its terrain perfectly.
Yeah, it really does, and it's just so much fun. And you think it's going to be like the first time I did it, I thought it was going to be like Kings Island Adventure Express, where you get off the lift hill and then you're just done. But you got a little more drop, so yeah, so much fun, which is great. All right, last but not least, with the IC4, we move on to Birthday Boy.
That's right.
And Birthday Boy, who are you again?
My name is Steven, and I am from Cincinnati, Ohio.
And Steven from Cincinnati. This is the first time you've ever ridden a roller coaster, is that right?
The first time I've ever ridden a roller coaster?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Time Traveler was my first
Your
roller coaster ever.
Either that or this was number 624 or something like that. Somewhere in the middle of those.
120?
That is okay. We're very proud of you.
Very
120 is great. No, that is completely fine. You're dominating a lot of other people, including Reece over there.
It's false.
It's false. Ooh.
I don't know. I have no idea.
No, yeah, exactly. You're above that. Exactly.
Coaster credit number 7.
Yeah.
Somebody says I've ridden 400 coasters. I'm like, dude, I'm way.
Yeah, way
above you.
Exactly. Not even close. So, first of all, is today the birthday?
It is.
Today is the actual birthday. And are you having a good birthday?
It's been a great day so far.
For you, trip number 1 to Silver Dollar City?
Yes,
then?
this is the first time I've been.
So we do have a first-time experience. So what is your thought? And you've been to a number of parks, so what do you think of Silver Dollar City so far?
No, I think the park to compare this one to is definitely Dollywood.
Oh, yep.
And it's way better than Dollywood in my opinion.
Ah, interesting. Way better than Dollywood. Yep.
I will say I'm gonna side with Reece. Blazing Fury is better than Fire in the Hole.
Yep. I think a lot of would agree with that.
Yeah, no, overall the atmosphere of the park definitely prefer this one more.
Excellent. And any other surprise coasters for you? Like, what are a couple of your highlights with the coasters from today?
I mean, Thunderation was great.
Yeah.
Thunderation was very good. I came in here expecting Outlaw Run to be my favorite, and that was accurate. Outlaw Run is definitely my favorite here.
RMCs have traditionally been some of your favorite?
Exactly.
Okay. Yep. And favorite RMC that you've done overall?
It's not the favorite. Steel Vengeance is still pretty great.
Yeah, Steel Vengeance as well?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
But no, it's definitely, overall, I would put Outlaw Run in top 10.
Okay. Yeah. Which is still pretty great when you're as high as you are. So terrific. Now, anyone back home upset at you that for your birthday you're nowhere near any of your other family and friends?
Oh no, they know what I'm up to.
Okay.
They know what I do. It's all good.
Yes. So they know about your addiction.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you go do your thing. It's your birthday. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very good. Any surprise rides or experiences that you thought were kind of special and quirky and unique?
Well, I had never been on the river battle before.
Okay.
And I really didn't expect to get as absolutely soaked as I did.
Right.
So that was definitely a surprise.
Yep. Excellent. Yeah. So plenty of opportunities here to get wet. Well, very cool. So we are in line for the cave tour, an attraction that they haven't done yet, and one that I think just really rounds out the park, and we'll see what they think about it afterwards. So we've got about 20 minutes left till get on it. What about him?
Are we interviewing all of the ICEE people?
Well, we haven't talked to Reece yet. Oh, in the log flume line. You remember that, right? We were chatting with him.
Right, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, exactly. So
Andrew just wanted to see me interviewed again.
Yeah. He just liked him that much.
For everybody.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question for y'all.
Y'all. Oh, we're in Missouri.
What's y'all's favorite ICEE flavor? Everybody.
You know, I really like the cherry, but the other day at Kings Island, the cherry was broken, and I tried the Coke for the first time.
Wait a second. Did you break the cherry?
Oh yeah, no, I jumped in, broke the machine. Yeah.
Was it just the cherry that you broke, or?
No, they were all gone. Everything but the Coke.
Oh.
Everything but the Coke.
All right.
Because I mean, you either got to go Coke or cherry.
Yeah.
And if you're getting the blue ICEE, you might as well just not even get an ICEE.
Oh, you object to that?
Blue raspberry is the best, all the way. I had a tall blue raspberry ICEE this morning, and it was the best part of my day.
Oh, not all the people you're with, not any of the rides, the blue ICEE.
Adam, you more than anybody knows, it's the summer of ICEE.
Hashtag ICEE life.
Hashtag ICEE life.
Yes. Very good. All right, let's get hear from the other two ICE experts on their favorites.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with my two colleagues here and let them know that they're 100% cherry limeade is far and away the best ICEE flavor. Anyone who disagrees, they don't know what they're talking about.
Have you had the Coke ICEE?
I have had the Coke ICEE, and the cherry limeade, I mean, man, it's not a contest.
Wow.
I'll have to give the cherry limeade
Not
a
a
try.
contest.
Yeah,
Do not trust the word of my ICEE colleagues here.
Okay.
They don't know.
Okay, so we've got to hear from the most important voice here. The one who originated the ICEE 4 with their t-shirts. The textual evidence that we have.
Well, I traditionally am a big cherry ICEE fan, but I tried the watermelon one today.
Oh, I saw that.
That's pretty great. I like fake watermelon flavor though, so
Are you going to say that's your new number one?
probably.
Oh my gosh,
It's up there,
upset.
number one.
Is that a credit?
Yes.
That's an ICEE credit. Yeah. Are you on ICEEcreditcounter.com?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a meme, by the way.
It's a meme.
ICEE
I
credit,
enjoyed that.
ICEEcreditcounter.com.
It just got memed.
See, but all right. Well, thanks IC4 for your input, and let's go enjoy some cave tour. Yes. Some interesting information. I think it was your question that you asked, which I love, where you asked them, "What's your favorite flavor?"
Yep.
And that led to some interesting conversation. You asked a lot of great questions throughout all these interviews. Great points that you brought up.
I tried to at least ask one question for every interview, except for, I think I didn't get to ask Nathan one.
Oh, okay. But for the most part, yeah, you get it in whether it's something we scripted out, but these discussions, as you can tell, we're all just kind of free form and just off the top of our head, as opposed to a formal interview. So some funny moments there, and talking about coasters and which coasters they liked and which coasters they enjoyed. And I think we're going to see this pattern of people being so blown away by Time Traveler, something that is going to be a theme here, that I think a lot of people, because of the spinning aspect, thought this was going to be a disappointment. And you can hear so far that a lot of people have loved it, and it really was such a surprise to the trip. Well, since we mentioned time travel, we might as well talk about it now for us, and why it was such a memorable experience, at least for you.
Yep, it was my drum roll, please. It was my 200th coaster.
Yes, woo! Okay, rockets going up and sound effects, yay. Pretty exciting 200th coaster. And now that we've done it, are you happy that we did choose that for the 200th?
Yes, it was really worth it. Because when you're going through those inversions while spinning, it just feels so different and weird. Like, it feels like you're kind of like flying through them.
And I think that's perfectly stated. It's such a different feeling than inversions on a traditional ride. For instance, Wildfire at that same park, such a traditional B&M feel. You've done enough of them already to know that. Whether it's Green Lantern or Bizarro, and they all kind of feel the same, but being at different spots, rotating into different locations, makes it so unique. And I think on our Facebook and Twitter polls that we did, Time Traveler did get a lot of support. So kind of goes in line with what you guys picked for him. Launches. What did you think of the launches themselves?
They were okay. Again, they felt very weird while you were like rotating, but yeah, they were okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, on the first one, you stop for a little bit and then you go, and then the second one, you just go right through.
You go immediately, like it keeps that momentum going. Yeah, the launch is not necessarily intense at all. Powder Keg is far more intense a launch, I think. But it doesn't matter.
Definitely.
That ride is so different that the launch intensity does not matter at all. And it's a perfect example of why a coaster doesn't necessarily need to be the most intense. I-305s and Sky Rushes, those are great, and El Toros, that's fine. But different feelings on different coasters and diversity.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I can't rank coasters anymore.
Yeah.
How do you compare that to other things?
I don't know.
I think it's really hard. I think it's impossible.
Yeah.
But would you agree that even the most skittish person, I can't imagine anyone getting dizzy or sick on this ride, even in an extremely hot day.
No.
And that's kind of how I feel about it. So I really think they have a hit there. And I think as time goes on, more and more people will talk about it. I'll say this, comparing it to Steel Vengeance, it's more unique than Steel Vengeance. There are plenty of other coasters where we felt those same things, right?
Yeah. But the only downside to Time Traveler is the height, 51 inches, when it's supposed to be like a family coaster.
That was a shock to me, because I know at first when they announced, I think it was going to be 48, that was a little surprising, that a family coaster is that high, 48. I didn't know it was adjusted to 51. So when we brought Alex up there and he got measured, there aren't any 51-inch coasters. He was fine with that, and that wasn't a problem. He's been on 52-inch coasters now. Thinking of that, and that always comes down to the restraints. Did you find the restraints comfortable?
Yeah, they were comfortable.
I thought so. I thought they were very unique.
They were very different. They were pretty big.
They were not uncomfortable, but yes, it was a big contraption that comes down over you.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's overhead and there's one bar that's attaching it, and it automatically comes down, and then it's very different.
Very different. I thoroughly agree. I've never been on a ride that had any kind of restraint like that. The cars themselves I thought were beautiful. The station, once you're in the main station there, with all the theming around it, looks good. The other two levels were kind of plain. And we thank Todd Houts, executive producer for Coasterradio, for sending those pictures. So we had our mementos that he was able to scan for us from Time Traveler. I'm so glad you were also able to ride with Julie and Brian, as you were able to capture tour with Park's permission, the 200th ride on some glasses that you had.
They were like high-tech vision glasses.
Well, Brian is very high-tech.
Yeah, they had a camera on the side of them. They just had to press a button, then they recorded.
Yes, great to have that experience as you were ahead of me. I was back with Alex and a few others. You were ahead, so I didn't even get to experience your 200th with you, but I'm glad you were able to do it with such good friends of ours. So Todd, thanks for sending that, and we'll be posting that video onto our YouTube channel at Theme Park Fam, as we're going to start adding a lot more videos here coming up pretty soon.
Make sure you subscribe.
Oh, are we going to do that? And say, smash the like button? And what are some of the other sayings that they do?
Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah. Oh boy, I don't think we'll ever go that route, but yay. So definitely check him out. And a special thanks to Dalton, the Director of Communications for Silver Dollar City, who did such a great job with organizing the whole event and being a part of Coaster Radio's Day, for helping us set up the pictures that we took celebrating his 200th. That was very nice of him to help us out with that. Well, we move on a little bit later in the day after that, where we were in line for a coaster that we've been in line for before when it had some problems, where we were in line with our good friends Julie and Brian. Brian from Civil Gore podcast, who's mentioned us a few times in the podcast lately. One of them about Godzilla trailer coming out, which he told us about, and that's a movie that we're so psyched to see next year. Big Godzilla fans, love the first one of the new ones that have come out. I was a big Godzilla fan from early in my days, so he's mentioned that and a few other things, including Andrew doing some artwork for Civil Gore that we posted on social media. Our favorite horror podcast, one that we love listening to.
Well, it's the only one we know, really.
It's not the only one we know. We know thousands, but this is the best one.
True.
If not tens of thousands, and this is the best one.
Wow.
The only one we know. I mean, it's every other day we're listening to a new horror podcast, and they're all junk, right?
Pretty much.
Exactly, you know.
It's all Michael Myers this and Michael Myers that.
Yeah, every day can't be Michael Myers, right?
Yeah.
And Brian and Tim know that. So what piece of art did you make for them?
I made these two pieces of art for Brian since Tim wasn't there. So I made one Chucky drawing and then one Freddy Krueger drawing.
And I think it's cool that you're artistic and like to create things. So those came out really well.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has it hanging up in his office where he does his recording is pretty cool, that he's got that little bit of inspiration.
Yeah, and I'm eventually, the next time I see Tim, I have drawings for him too.
Exactly. So he wasn't able to make it to this meetup as he's got some Universal plans coming up soon. So we'll definitely see him at some point and be able to deliver his as well. Since a lot of times on some of our longer trips where we've come home late at night, we've slipped on Civil Gore quite a number of times to help make the drive seem shorter. And so they've really helped us out. If you do like horror movies, definitely check out their podcast. As we were saying, we were in line with Julie and Brian and a couple of other guys as well who we just bumped into, and they seemed like they knew something about coasters, so we decided to talk to them too. They didn't seem that creepy, so it seemed like, all right, let's just ask them a few things, see what they think.
Yeah.
Let's take a listen and see what they had to say. We continue our discussion of first-timers to Silver Dollar City, of people who have been here for the first time. And so next up we have one of our favorite people in the world. And who are you again?
Julie.
Yay, Julie. Also known as Raven, I believe, right? From long ago. That feels like forever ago by now, right?
Yeah.
And so we've now been here, I don't know, about 7-8 hours. It's hard to tell. What are your impressions of the park so far?
It is a very cute park. They've got some really good rides. So from a coaster standpoint, it's worthwhile.
What has been your favorite coaster so far? I know it's hard to pick. Or you could say a couple of your favorites.
I really did actually like Time Traveler. I have to say, it was I was not expecting it. Didn't know what was going on because we were turning constantly, and it was a lot of fun.
And I like that because you're in the same boat I am, that I do not like spinning at all. Teacup rides and all that I do not do well with, but that didn't bother you at all.
No, that one was okay. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why that. Maybe because of the changing. It's too disorienting. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
And it's a slow spin, and I think that's part of it as well. And I'm so happy you've been walking around with us for a while because we've gone to places that we wouldn't have gone in ourselves. Some of the shops that we've gone into, and it's just such an interesting part of Silver Dollar City. Some of the things that you've seen in the shops that you thought were cool.
Yeah, well, I think there's all kinds of cute things. There's always cute things. There's what do you call it, the craftsman shops. People make their own things, and actually I saw this one cool planter that was the shape of a camper that you put 2 plants in and stuff. I was like, oh, maybe that's a souvenir I take home.
Which is clever because a lot of people who come into a park like this wouldn't have a camper, so that is well thought out. Places that I've seen in stores that have full bedroom sets.
Yes,
like you would expect to see that in a Sears or something like that, and here they make beds and furniture and all that, which is pretty crazy. What else? We saw a knife being made, I believe, a blacksmith.
Yes, there was a glass being blown in one spot. We actually saw some furniture, the little tail end of some furniture being made, and it's just all over the place. It's actively happening.
It's amazing, and I think in Dollywood you see it in one small lane through the center there, but here it's all over the place, and it's just kind of amazing in that way. And still, so far, there's some iconic things you haven't done, like the cave tour, which we're excited to see.
Yep, we gotta go back.
Yep, exactly. And so many other things. So as the day is only about half over, overall you'd say you're really having a good time at the park, huh?
Yes, I would say this has been a really nice day.
Yep.
And the
Excellent.
sun's not out, so it makes it even more pleasant.
The fact that I don't even know what it is, low 80s, I guess.
Yeah, it's so hot.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not getting melted by the sun. So.
And that really helps, even though this is a great park, but there is sun with how many trees there are.
That's true.
So that certainly helps. But then when you look down and see all the blacktop, it could be kind of brutal, but thankfully it's been overcast. This is about as perfect as a day as could be. And sadly, as we wait at Fire in the Hole, we have not moved in a couple minutes. That's always a little ominous.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will be moving here soon. Well, we switch over to, we'll say the lesser half. Well, you have to, because the woman's always the better half.
I am the lesser half.
But that's okay. Being the lesser half in this couple is still not a bad spot to be.
Well, thank you.
Why? Is there anything below lesser half?
Being a whole and not having another half, that could be kind of bad. So the two of them make a whole, and she's the better half, but still. So you're first, though, because it's your first time to the park, too.
I loved it. I mean, this has always been a bucket list park for me.
Yep.
And, so I was like, didn't know what to expect. I still have not figured out my way around, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Nobody can.
Nobody can. It's impossible to find your way
I went to the
around.
expert. I went to Andrew, and he was having trouble. But, it's just a great park. I think the biggest takeaway I have is that it doesn't feel like you're in a theme park, and you just could walk through and you feel like you're captured in the atmosphere and the theming, and then there's just rides around the perimeter almost, and it's like, so you can really get a good feel of the environment and then still get to ride some great rides.
And it's interesting you say that, because as we stand here, it's something I thought of. You know how you're at a big chain park, you hear screams and rides clanking all over the place? As we stand here, can you hear a single ride?
No, nothing. That's the thing. And we're like online for a ride that usually, even in the Dollywood version of this, you can hear like kind of, when you're at the edge, you can hear it come through and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, you get immersed in the spot you're in, basically, and there's nothing surrounding it.
Like, if we were at Blazing Fury right now in line, we could probably hear Tennessee Tornado or Wild Eagle.
Wild Eagle, yeah. There's a part of the backside of the coaster goes right by it, and you see it and hear the roar of the B&M. Here, nope. As we look at Fire in the Hole here, we've got a hay and grain miner's supplies. We've got wash and dry, bath while you wait, which is interesting that says bath while you wait.
Oh, yeah.
You would think it would say bathe while you wait, but all right. Using a noun like a verb. What else? We've got buckets. What else do we have?
Fire equipment, fireman equipment.
Accoutrement, yeah, exactly. You've got hoses and old school volunteer water bucket brigade. And so this ride itself.
Yeah, and the buckets went up in price. Look, it went from, because I guess the fire, the theming, they lived up to the theming. Of course they would gouge you on the bucket you need for water when there's fire in the hole.
Perfectly stated. 10 cents to 50 cents to $1, now $10. That's some crazy inflation as we still stand here and have not moved.
Yeah, we have not
This
moved.
is not a good sign.
Even the time traveler, the Trailblazer, pass line hasn't moved.
Yeah, this has been a ride that's gone down earlier, and that's odd because this did go down when we were here last time, so that's a bit disconcerting. And I'd say we would give it like a couple more minutes before we decided, okay, it's just not worth standing here and not moving.
Yeah, and we're here late. We'll come back. Come back later if we need to, but...
Yeah, which is fine, because we'd still have, 17 hours left in the park?
Like that.
So,
yeah, we're still doing the cave and temporary closed.
You temporarily closed.
Julie has looked at the official app, but...
Right, favorite ride so far? I know coasters, it's hard to say favorite, and you could say your top couple.
I mean, I gotta say, I think Time Traveler right now, just because of the uniqueness of it. And, I heard a lot of people saying, oh, the spinning, this will be bad, but it was actually really great. And we I actually rode with Andrew, so it was cool. We got we were in the back car, which they supposedly said is the best car to go to, and we kind of, as we started to be pulled down, we got into a spin right off the drop. So we kind of were coming down that first drop sideways, and next thing we knew, we were in a loop and all over the place, and I didn't know where it was going, so it was really good.
Which is great, that kind of feeling, which is so different than other coasters you've been on. And that unique experience for a well-traveled coaster rider like you, who's well over 250 at this point, to be able to experience something new is kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I think that's what I'm looking for now, you know? It's like, you know, you've gone on all these other rides, that most of them have some sort of similarity, but so it's great when you find one that's, you know, that's brand new and it still kind of wows you.
Well, and Melissa talks about that being desensitized after a while, that really nothing shocks you anymore. And I think part of that might have been at Bigfoot yesterday with the drop tower being different with the seat.
I didn't even feel scared on that. Like,
but the first time was a little nerve-wracking, probably?
A little bit.
Okay.
I tell you, that was better than Zumanjaro. That's a tall. What is that? The tallest right now, right?
It's still the tallest in the world.
That one has no feeling whatsoever. It's too smooth.
Exactly. Do you agree with that? Which one you like better?
Well, I feel like, because I don't really feel anything on, like, any forces on any of them, because I just feel more, like you said, desensitized or whatever.
Yeah, it's a long word.
And so, they're both really fun.
Okay.
So I both like
Okay, so, and that's fine. You're absolutely liking both. And that's why sometimes it's hard to rank coasters. It's been a great day, and still the cave, the train.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited for the cave.
So, I have a question for you, Brian.
Yes.
So, is Time Traveler in your top 10 or anywhere close?
You know, it might. I have to judge it. I gotta see. I usually can reflect it kind of on the next day after I've come back from the park, and because every time, like when I get off a new coaster that I love, I'm like, oh my god, this is the best one. It's right there. But then I like to think and really sit back, and I want to ride it at night. That's another key.
For some coasters, you really have to ride it a bunch of times to take it through. And say, oh, I really like this part of the ride, or stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, my favorite coaster now is Boulder Dash, and that one, when I first rode it during the day, I thought it was good, but it was that night ride that cemented it, and now it's my favorite. So, that's the thing. So I can judge it probably a little later. I'll give you the exact score.
Interesting. So Boulder Dash, and that's why you love Voyage so much.
Yeah.
Because of the similarities. Yep. So is Voyage pretty close to Boulder Dash after that for you?
Well, I mean, Voyage is probably the better coaster, but if you're going to go by favorite, it's Boulder Dash. It's a sentimentality to me. It just kind of grew on me, and I feel like it's kind of more my coaster than Voyage because I can't get to that all the time, so...
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense, as that is so much further away. As we continue down the line, we have some strangers, and we'll see if they're interested in talking. First name and where you're from.
Oh, yes. Hello. My name is Clint Novak. I'm from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
All right. That seems like it's a lie because there's no beanie on top of your head.
I know. I flew in on my propeller beanie. It was like the helicopter sounds and stuff, but I'm here in Branson. Hello.
Oh, well, it's so nice to have you, Clint. Yeah. Good to see you again. Now, we're going to hold off from really publishing this anytime soon because we want the full deal once we get to In the Loop, right? That's what
yes, that's right.
Yes.
My podcast.
So when you announce on In the Loop how you feel about the whole park, then we'll come here. But so far, your thoughts halfway through the day, what you're thinking of Silver Dollar City.
I love it. And actually, I'm sorry, I lied. I told a fib. This is Mike.
You're not from Fredericksburg?
No,
is that what you lied about?
No. From DC area. Mike from Coasterradio. So glad to be here.
Mike, nice to meet you. Weird that we just ran into you in line like this.
And doing something I don't normally do. The Prince Collins does not wait in line, but I'm waiting for Fire in the Hole.
And you haven't complained once yet, so that's good.
No, because I'm enjoying the friendship and camaraderie here.
Yes.
Look at all of these peasants. I mean.
Oh boy.
Yes.
You want to say that a little quieter because the peasants can revolt.
That's right.
We don't have our army with us right now.
That's right.
So you might want to say that quieter. And so still, some things, Mike, that you haven't done yet. But overall, just thoughts on the park. And it's interesting because Busch Gardens Williamsburg, your home park and one that you love.
Yep.
Similarities that you see in some ways. Certainly the theme is different, but do you see some similarities there?
Similarities in the detail and the depth of the theme. So, Busch Gardens being European theme and this being 1880s, you sort of feel immersed in it. And that's what I liked. As soon as, even when we were coming up to the park and getting in just to the first 100 feet, you feel immersed in, the old buildings, like even standing here in front of Fire in the Hole, it's like, look, like they could have just put up almost plastic looking or cardboard looking stuff, but there's really a lot of detail in the theming here and, the way they have just this old building in front of us, some glass shot out and stuff, really cool and well done. So, just you feel totally immersed the whole time.
Exactly, and not only the glass shut up, but then you've got the smoky parts, and it's almost like some of it is already burned away. And it's just those little details, and so many of them you wouldn't notice, but the ones that you do just add up to it. Like where we're standing in the queue, thinking how clever it is to have a fake cemetery next to the smokers area. And it's those little jabs which are kind of interesting. Not exactly the most PC park, but we're in a different part of the world, and it's interesting some of those details.
Yeah.
We have some family, and certainly the bigger celebrity, and the kind of a shocking surprise that we had on stage. And again, introduce yourself.
Hey, this is Greg. Greg from Fredericksburg. I'm Mike's brother.
Wait, are you lying about the location as well? No, you're really Clint's brother.
Oh, the Clint's brother. Yes, absolutely. No, but yeah, Mike's brother here on Coasterradio, like one of the original, I guess, members, Joint Chiefs. Glad to be back here with you guys here.
So cool. Now, what was it like for you, that moment coming out on the stage? Were there some nerves going on for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm never one to be like in front of people on a stage. So the heartbeat was going. But everyone that I've met, the night before, it's just everyone's so welcoming and kind. So that just made it easier to talk to everyone, on stage.
Yeah, it's open. So exciting. In about 20 minutes, we'll be able to get on as we're moving in line. Hopefully less than that, but it is open, and that's good. As we continue, as we're walking through the queue here, getting closer and closer, your thoughts, and certainly haven't been to quite as many parks as Mike has, as you've taken some time off with like family and small and life and jobs and that kind of thing. And so what's it like getting to a park like this for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of, going off on what Mike was saying, like Busch Gardens is kind of like our home, home park, but it's got like a lot of similarities, but the attention to detail that they have, the different type of feeling, post Civil War, feeling. The facades are amazing. It really makes you feel like you're immersed in it, like Mike was going. So I'm very impressed. It's just a lot to look at. It takes us a while to get our bearings here too. There's a lot to see. You can get lost here.
You can spend days here and still not feel like you really know the park very well. That's how spread out it is.
The only people who know this are Nathan Slater, and then the people who work here.
Yes, people who work here are Nathan. Nathan's been here almost as much as employees. Yeah, he has a great bearing on it. For the future, could you see maybe dabbing your toes in the water, possibly being a guest a couple times a year maybe on Coasterradio? Could you see that as a possibility? Just to give the teaser to the fans who adore you and love you, and people are clamoring. The number of times on Coasterradio episodes they'd have the listener call-in shows, and how many times they've gotten the question, when is Joint Chiefs getting back? And they do. So the possibility of all five, that's tougher. But even if it's just the three, possibilities, does this get you interested? I know you talked about possibly getting the family more into parks and all that.
Absolutely, yeah. There's always the possibility of, kind of coming back, making more appearances. I definitely... being close to Mike, we have this similar love for theme parks, so it's great to get myself immersed back into it. And my kids are starting to really get into theme parks too, so I want to get them involved and kind of show them how what Uncle Mike's doing. They would really love to see what's become Coasterradio. So this is a really good thing.
And as you said that you got your daughters a little more into it, what level? As they are 9 and 7, so they're tall enough to do pretty much everything at this point for the most part. Not I-305 level yet.
No.
Okay, so what's the craziest thing they've done?
We just did that. The Racer 76 at Kings Dominion.
Okay.
My daughters have done that.
Okay.
They're kind of on that level. They've been to similar coasters, the Grizzly, things like that. So
the
we're
next
getting
step
there.
up is Twisted Timbers.
Twisted Timbers, yeah. We almost did Twisted Timbers. I think it was the loudness of the chains going in, so maybe that kind of scared them a little bit, but hopefully we'll get on.
Well, here's the hook for that, is to tell them that Twisted Timbers is way smoother than Grizzly.
Yes.
Or bribe them.
Right?
Or bribe them. That's true. The whole Sunday thing. We'll get you a Sunday. We'll get you a car. When
That's
you turn...
not a bad idea. That's what my parents did to me back in the day.
Tell that story.
Okay. Mike, maybe I'm making assumptions about asking him if he's going to be on future ones. Maybe this is just a one and done, and you actually don't want him.
Like you said, there's always been requests, and even episode 500 of Coasterradio comes up in October.
Oh my gosh, I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah. So people are asking for the reunion. That's what they want.
Wow.
So I think we might have to do it. Get Mario, get Flava back in too. They're around.
Like you said, if we entice with food.
Exactly. So you think Flava will get you an ice cream sundae?
All you can eat buffet.
There you go.
All you can eat buffet. Exactly. Whatever it takes. 500 is that mind-numbing to you?
It's wild. Yeah. When we added it up, I was shocked. I didn't think we were anywhere close to that. But
we're only at episode 18.
Yeah.
And I know there's some podcasts who do 5-minute podcasts, and they could get to 20,000.
Yep, they're 1,000.
But thinking about you doing hour-long episodes for the most part, and around there, and 500, congratulations.
We're
That's
excited.
just
We're
amazing.
excited by that.
And it's just interesting as we talk about that evolution and think about 500. It seems, crazily enough, that this is the most energized that UNEB have ever been. And maybe there are a number of factors about that, but the things that you've added in the last couple of years and how much you've evolved, people get stuck in a rut and do the same thing over and over and over and over. The fact that you've changed so much with the daily briefings and with new segments that you're doing, it really is amazing how much you've evolved. The impetus behind this change, and that's what I think is most interesting about Coaster Radio.
Yeah, I think really what it's been are these meetups. I think that is what propelled us, to keep going. Meeting people like you guys, and being inspired by that. I think that's really what keeps us going. I sometimes wonder if we didn't do the meetups, if we'd still be doing it. Like, I really think that. Like, sometimes I'm like, but I think having met everybody and on those days where you're tired and you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to do a podcast today, I start thinking about the people at the meetups, and I'm like, well, yeah, no, this is who we're doing it for. Like, so you start thinking of faces and people you've met, and that's what makes me want to do. That's why I love it.
Especially considering the fact that you guys do it so late at night, that you're recording from 9:30 to 11 after waking up at 6 to go to work. That's really impressive. Yeah. That's a long day. And
what's funny though? The funniest thing is that at 8:30, I'm complaining. I'm like, because we start at 9:30. At 8:30, I'm like, oh, I don't want to. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. At 9:30 though, all that goes away, and the excitement of the show. It's like one of the best parts of the week, and so and I see it in EB's eyes too, because I see he's tired before we go, but then once we start, it like
Showbiz Mike and Showbiz EB take over.
Yeah, like I feel like before we start recording and you're like, oh, it's time to record. I'm like,
yeah, you're a little tired, but then like something when the mic turns on, right? You get energized for it.
You feel like that's your power, like turning on the microphone.
It is.
And as you talk about the fans, for you guys, seeing and knowing it's not just the people at the meetups, knowing that you have fans in Germany and England, and you have the ability to see where your podcast is downloaded from. What's to you the most bizarre country that you've seen someone's like, what, in this country someone downloaded a Coaster Radio?
Yeah, first there's in the United States there are weird spots. Like, so I always get weirded out when like an area of the country where there are no roller coasters, so like one of the Dakotas, I think like North Dakota has no roller coasters, so that's always funny. But then there are like some countries in the Middle East, that's funny, and you wonder like how did they work with the language.
But now that's turning into a hotspot, right? With true. Dubai, which is lit. I heard from Coaster Radio.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Dubai
that
right.
episode was ridiculous.
That's so good. And like I think like Iceland was another one that I saw like a couple hits there once, and it's funny, but it's cool, because you think that maybe there's somebody living there who's from somewhere else and they miss that, so they come and hear about what's going on with roller coasters.
A way to connect them back.
So that's fun, I think it's neat, and it's so cool that like I come from a broadcasting background, but to do a podcast where what you talk about in a room and watching a DC then can go anywhere, like and anybody can take it with them anywhere, and that's the best part about it. I'm sure for you guys too, like to know what you guys do, just even recording right here at a park goes all over the world.
It is really cool, and as we say it, that if it wasn't for you and EB, we would not be doing this at all, and we are so appreciative of that. It's such a great learning experience for Andrew and a confidence builder, and Alex as he's starting to do more and more. Taking a hobby is something as silly as this, and it means a lot to a lot of people.
It's such a great skill to learn for, not only for us as adults, but for, kids too, to learn like, hey, you put, and also like the work effort too, like the putting, this is what you put into it, this is what you get out of it.
If you didn't find this show, then we wouldn't have met some of our best friends.
Yes, oh my, it's such a great point, the friendships. So many people that we've mentioned so many times, and that's why kind of we do all this. And public speaking, which is a fear of a lot of people. Sure. I kind of thought of that earlier when you were doing the show. Now that you've done a number in front of crowds, is that starting to get more and more comfortable as you go too?
I think so. It seems like it. It's one thing doing a show in the comfort of your home and nobody can see you, and I was laughing because like I always have notes in front of me when we do the show, and it doesn't matter if you're staring at it, but here on stage you're like, I don't know, how often you want to look down and being on the stage and putting on a show for people. But,
right, because people are thinking you've got to be the actor or comedian, and it's like, no, that's not really what I do. But excellent, we're about to go into the stations. So Mike, thanks so much for joining us. We're looking forward to hearing the episode. Can't wait to hear it, as we've got a couple. You've got the Bigfoot one that'll be coming out on Coaster Radio, so that'll be one episode. Then we'll have episode number 2, which will be the recording, and then episode number 3, where you talk about your recap. So that's a nice part about these. So it gives you almost a month worth of material.
So that's kind of nice. Trip, so it's awesome. And then I'm looking forward to hearing this. on your guys.
Oh, absolutely. So that'll be great. And then we've got late August to early September. Coaster Radio takes the break, right?
Yeah, that's right. So probably throughout the month of September.
Yep.
And so in September, we're going to do a couple of episodes where we do some coaster commentary video podcasts about rides that have already opened, new ones, but also rides coming up.
Okay, announcements.
Yes. And then right to start in October, I think the first week of October is episode 500. So we kind of set it up that way so it'd be right there.
Everyone look out for that. That should be a great celebration and so well.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. And Greg, welcome back to the world of coasters.
It's very nice to be here. Thank you very much. Everyone's been great. And looking forward to hearing this podcast and keeping in touch with everyone.
Terrific. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Both Julie and Brian had a lot of great things to say, and we spent so much time in the park with them that day, which is great, and had a lot of cool experiences both in shops and rides and coasters. And then another thanks to Mike and Greg K, as it was very cool to talk to them as well. We were seconds away from walking out of that line, so I'm kind of glad we stayed, and thankfully it was just a short amount of time that the ride was closed.
And when we did Fire in the Hole, it felt a lot different than it did last time. And the one thing that is a lot different than Blazing Fury is this one's just about the bald knobbers.
Yes, bald knobbers. Yes, a term to be very serious about.
Shut up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys are really mean about it.
I don't know. Some of those guys are weird. That's all. But that's foreshadowing. We get to that a little bit later. Whoever the bald knobbers are. Very cool. Greg K. You haven't heard his voice in a long time.
No.
And we listened to those episodes of Coaster Radio a long time ago. So great that he's back, and that was a cool surprise for a lot of people. And the Joint Chiefs, as episode 500 is coming up soon, it'll be interesting to see if they do get them together. But now that his girls are riding, he might be a little bit more in it. And it's really amazing what Mike and EB have done all these years later, 12 years in, and they're doing such inspired work lately, almost like it's a new podcast. So very cool. The interviews they've done, the projects they've done.
Yeah, and I can't believe they're already at almost 500. We haven't even made it to 50, and we're like, this is so hard. And it's just crazy.
Well, think about it. In 12 years, if we did this for 12 years like they've done it, in 12 years, you're going to be a man.
I'm going to be, let's see, I'll do the math.
Okay. Get your calculator out. Let's say you're 10, because you're getting so close to 10, so.
Okay, so I will technically be 19.
In 12 years?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was 9. Okay, so.
Okay, he's gotten a ranking of top 70% of math students in his school. Yeah, yes. Okay. So how old are you going to be?
So let's see.
21.
22, I mean.
Either one, if you 21 or 22, depending on what age. So very good. That was much, much better. Yes. So
I'll be in college then.
Yeah. So
how will I do it?
By then, you can do it from you at college and me here when I'm like 90.
No, in 12 years, you'll only be like 50.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Very young. Hopefully, we'll see Greg K again in the future. A little bit later on, we ran into Slater and Jordan Driver, good buddies from the Ride This One podcast. Andrew and Slater, I think, are the only ones who, well, and also Tom, are on every single episode of Ride This One. Although, I don't know if that's Tom on Ride This 2. So you might be the only one who's been on every single episode of Ride This One and Ride This 2. You.
Really?
I mean, unless that's Tom's voice being modulated in the intro for Ride This 2. You are the only one. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. I think we talked to them at Outlaw Run as we were walking to the front of the park. And I think it was getting pretty dark at that point. Yeah, that was after we did our night rides, perhaps.
Yeah.
So let's see what you guys had to say and whether you slugged it out after your Twitter battle that you guys had with Jordan Driver. Hopefully it was peaceful. We continue our interviews for the day, and we've got a few members from the Ride This One podcast. We are currently walking with Slater, the star of Ride This One, to many other things, executive producer for the Coaster Radio program. And this is your first time to the park?
Absolutely. I've never been here before. It's absolutely amazing.
It's blowing your mind?
Yeah, I mean, Dollywood's better. Dollywood is so much better than this park. This is a piece of trash, I tell you.
Well, for all listeners of Ride This One, we know he's being a silly goose that He is like the mayor of Silver Dollar City.
Really? I'm the mayor? I am surprised that they would elect me, but we did elect Trump.
So anything can happen. Miracles.
The world is on its head.
From what you gather, you know this park so well and everyone's reactions. How do you think the park has held up today? What are you gathering of how the meetup has gone and all that?
It's went well. Now, as far as how the park has held up, you see, coaster enthusiasts are largely overweight, so the asphalt has taken quite the beating.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that it's going to be a couple $1 million worth of work to repair. But beyond that, I think it's been a pretty good day.
So kind of like at the Bigfoot park where there were impressions of Bigfoot prints in the concrete.
Now, I'm a little upset you bring that up. I understand I've gained some weight. And yes, I perhaps caused a little damage when I was stomping my feet. But, you know, I thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about that, Bregner. I'm a little upset now.
I didn't think you had size 27 shoes. I didn't realize that was you.
Well, you know what it is I do feet binding. I don't know if you've heard of that. But every once in a while, I got to take them out for a rest. My feet get sore.
Yeah, feet binding I thought made them smaller, not bigger. So that's kind of interesting.
You know, they kind of roll up like a fruit roll up. They don't smell like fruit, though. It's more like a fish kind of smell, like a fish roll up with like dirty garbage.
As you're talking about that, we're heading past some food places here, which is not making my appetite stronger, actually, at this point.
Well, it's good. See, I do this to try to help all of these coaster enthusiasts lose weight so they can get on the rides.
Inspiration, I like it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Most enjoyable things you've done today?
Duct taping your children to the rides, you know, because you know how they like to jump out.
And have any fallen out yet today?
Well, a few were thrown out this time as they were misbehaving.
Yes, which they do quite often.
What was surprising is it wasn't me who threw them out. It was the park, but we all know how Alex can get.
It's scary at times.
Yes.
I think we just heard another deep voice, joined by another member of Ride This One, and we've got Mr. Jordan Driver.
Ride This Too.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Technically, I am the leader or the fueler of Ride This Too.
Ooh, the leader. Would both other members of that podcast agree with you?
Well, they don't have a choice. They're in Florida and I'm far away.
To be fair, he is the tallest.
Yes.
And the largest.
As they say, might is right. And another person whose first trip to Silver Dollar City has been today. Overall thoughts on the park so far?
It is wonderful. It is one of my favorite parks that I think I've ever been to. It's unique, and there's little touches like when we had lunch today, got up to have seconds from the buffet, and got back, and the table was subtly rising higher and higher. And I actually asked Slater, I was like, am I having a stroke or is the table getting higher?
And he's saying the whole time, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, knowing all along what the joke was there.
Yeah, they had a hydraulic in it, which would raise it. It was a cool, that was the little touches that I love about this place.
And as we say that little touches, we've got hanging flower baskets that are lower than your head. So as you're having to duck past all these things, but they are beautiful.
Do you know what the name of the path is we just walked?
Such a weird spiral path.
It is called Corkscrew Hollow.
Corkscrew Hollow. So that was an arrow design right there?
Well, you know what's funny is the first corkscrew did not come until 30 years after that path was built when they built Wildfire.
Well, I have a question. Is that pathway rough, like aero coasters?
Well, you know, they've been doing good with the maintenance, but there are rumors they're going to RMC it, so I'm assuming it's not going to work pretty soon.
Well, I know when we went on it, there were like a bunch of bumpy rocks.
Bumpy rocks, yes, that need to be reprofiled. That's a good point.
Again, I'm a little upset that you're bringing up my weight.
We just keep rubbing it in. So, Mr. Driver, first of all, it seems like you and Andrew have come to an accord here recently.
We have for now, but it could be a trick on my end that accidents do happen on rides.
Oh my God, did Andrew just punch him in the face?
Did that happen? Oh no.
That has not yet.
Okay, that has not happened. It's
Although there's something of a disturbing trend. Parents seem to be trying to instigate fights with children for me.
Yeah, another incident that just occurred, which is very odd.
Very odd at an ICEE stand. So, I don't know what vibe I'm giving off, but I really do not want to assault your children.
Anyone's children, right? By your, you mean anyone?
Anyone's.
Yeah, this was a very different kind of ICEE life. What exactly happened in line?
Well, there was just a boy that was taking a little bit of time longer than I think his mom meant him to, and she's like, you need to move or he's going to whoop your, you would have to censor it. And I'm just like, ma'am, let him take his time. There's like 6 flavors. It's fine.
That's insane. These things just seem to follow you somehow.
They really...
Favorite coasters for you? We won't hold you to one, but...
I would say my top 3 here in order are Outlaw Run.
Yep.
Time Traveler, which it's unique and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And Powder Keg, which is fantastic and does not get really any mention, but it's fantastic.
A great launch, but it seems as you're standing next to Slater here, you're trying to hurt his feelings by not mentioning his favorite coaster here, one of his darlings of all time, Thunderation. Does that mean you hated it and wish you never rode it?
I do not.
He just regrets being a giant.
Yes, I'm a bit large to actually fit comfortably on the ride.
Legs that bothered you on that?
Legs and the seats are a little bit tight, so I'm hitting my side, but it's overall, I love the ride. On a coaster-to-coaster comparison, Silver Dollar City is far superior to Dollywood.
And Dollywood is your home park?
Dollywood is my home park, and this, as a park, is more unique, more special. It is a overall much better park than Dollywood. And I sincerely mean that. I think it is a better park.
And atmosphere as well, not just rides, just the whole...
The whole park, the unique touches, the little things that make it feel like it's a park that's been built over 100 years. Instead of Dollywood, it feels like it tries to do that, but it feels new and processed and pushed through a corporate viewpoint.
Very different that way. I thoroughly agree. Now, if I'm correct, I think Carowinds was your first Coasterradio Meetup, right?
It was last year.
This is number 2. Now, how different experience is this for you, just in terms of the meetup aspect of it?
Very different because people know me this time.
And are less scared of you.
Yeah. It's just different because last time I kind of came and I would come with the group to stuff when we do meetups, but then I did my own thing. And this time I've interacted with a lot more people because people know me. And it's just one of those things where it's, I love to hang out with everyone, and, it's just been a great experience. I can't wait to do another one. I'm not sure where. Probably not going to make the fall meetup because it's my busy time of work.
You've got important things coming up next year you're saving up for.
I have my wedding next year to my wonderful fiance. I can't wait. Thank you to her for letting me come.
And you've already designed the coaster cake, and you've got coaster dresses and a coaster tux and all that?
No, I don't think anything coaster related is going to be allowed that day.
Just not that day, okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and I'm glad that you and Andrew, at least for the time period, are getting along much better now.
Thank you for having me, and we'll settle this when he's a little older.
Exactly, in about 15 years.
We can have some drinks with me, and we can do a good old bar-style brawl, and we'll do it then. But by that time, I might have a kid his age, so.
And by that time, he also might have stolen your wife.
I hope not. But take my wife, please.
Yeah, it's a little early for that. You got to get married first. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Very cool. Always great to talk to them. A ton of fun. And I think Slater was happy with how everything went. He's so proud of that park, loves it so dearly, and has gone there for so many years that I think the park really represented itself well, and he had a great time there. And you hear Jordan Driver, who knows Dollywood well, and he said he likes Silver Dollar City better.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
And I love that story that he told about the table moving as the meal went.
I want to see that.
We should experience it, not see it. That would be pretty neat. And maybe when we go with Mama and Maddie, we can play that joke on them.
I know this isn't a video podcast, but the table would probably be over my head, and I would have to put my arms up over the table to eat.
Who knows? Yeah, I have no idea exactly how big a difference it is, but that would be pretty funny if that was the case. One of the interesting things as that interview went and we got to the front of the park, there was some kind of 80s show that they were putting on.
They have a punk 80s show or something.
Well, it was 80s music, and whether it was punk or not,
it was rock.
It was rock, exactly. And the one song that was in the background was Jump, that the cover band was playing. And do you remember the song Jump and how it connected to the concert that we saw?
Yeah.
Which concert was that?
Not any concert.
Yeah, then the Foo Fighters concert that we'll talk about next week. They did a cover, at least the music was Imagine, and he sung the Jump lyrics to it. The next day after the meetup, a group of us decided to go.
A whole gang.
A whole gang a scary gang of crazy people decided to go to the Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium in Springfield, Missouri, which was about 45 minutes north of Silver Dollar City. And it was connected to this gigantic Bass Pro Shops, which was nuts with all the different animals and displays they had. It was absolutely huge store. And if you're into outdoorsy kind of stuff like that and entertaining yourself with animals, it could be a very entertaining place. So this was Nathan's idea. He mentioned it a long time before the meetup, and it was a pleasant surprise that we did it. What did you think of that aquarium?
Oh, it was amazing. It blew my mind. The amount of detail put into this and the amount of tanks and stuff, it was amazing.
Like army tanks?
No, like fish tanks.
Oh, fish tanks, right. That makes more sense. Army tanks wouldn't have made any sense in an aquarium.
And there were some huge fish. I mean, I'm talking bigger than me, that they could swallow me whole.
I love those pictures that we took of you with the Goliath groupers, and the pictures obviously never do it justice. I showed you that video of a Goliath grouper swallowing a shark whole that someone was fishing. Yeah, it's amazing how big they were.
Yeah. And then the cool thing about it is it's not just an aquarium. There's exhibits with bears and crocodiles. Oh my gosh, stop.
Sorry.
And there were birds, and there were, like, I think some snakes. There were also bats. There was a whole, bat exhibit.
Yeah, it was impressive how many different animals like that they had. You think bat aquarium, but I guess there are caves near oceans, so that could work. And one of my favorite parts of this aquarium is the fact that it gave you different perspectives of different exhibits. Like sometimes you'd see it at ground level, then you'd be above it later on, like 15 minutes later. You didn't even realize you were back in that same area. And so I thought that was kind of neat that you saw different perspectives of different exhibits.
And in some of the rooms, there's so many different things. Like, there are, so many trees, and it's, completely covered. Like, there's not one spot on the wall or on the ground that's not theming or something.
Yeah, Slater mentioned that this was, I think, the most expensive aquarium to build, and I'd believe it. There's nothing that's just a tank by itself and it looks out of place. There's that one gigantic room where it's almost like you're in a swamp, and you don't see doors and lights, and you're so immersed into it, and that, I think, made it just that much more impressive. Now, I will say I've been to aquariums that had more larger sharks. I remember in Myrtle Beach, a number of years ago, I went to a Ripley's Believe It or Not aquarium, and you go through this giant tank that has many sharks, big nurse sharks and all that. So I thought that was a little disappointing, but the Ray exhibit I thought was beautiful, how they built a big ring that they just keep flying around.
And you can touch them too.
Yes, and feed them, so that was kind of neat. So a lot of really cool exhibits. And it took us a long time to get through it all. And about halfway through, we had some time to sit down with another one of our buddies, Kevin Wilson, who is a very entertaining person, the voice of Randy Ray Rayford, Triple R as I refer to it in the interview. So let's hear some of the things that he talked about.
It's the day after the meetup, and I'm sitting here in a rocking chair with another one of my favorite people in the world. We've got Case Willie, the funny Wilson brother as he's known, although the other guy from Civil Gore I think is a pretty funny dude as well. We have Kevin Wilson, also known as the voice of Triple R from Coasterradio. Where are we right now?
We're at the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium and Museum in beautiful Springfield, Missouri.
And that goes to show life is more than just roller coasters and theme parks. And this place is crazy. Based on the recommendation of Mr. Slater, we are here at this incredible place which costs something like a couple of $2 billion. Only been open about a year and a half, he said. And this is just an amazing place so far. I don't even know how far we are through this. A quarter of the way, I don't know. But this is just amazing at this point. And yesterday, we didn't get a chance to chat, but we were talking to a lot of people whose first time was to Silver Dollar City. And that was your first time as well, right? I believe you're in that group.
Oh yeah, very first time I've ever went to Branson or ever been to Silver Dollar City, and I was pretty blown away.
What aspects of the park, and I think it's a park that still so many people don't know about, haven't been to, what were some of the aspects of the park that really blew you away?
I think what I love the most about it is that it feels like a park. It feels like a public park. There's nothing that's a black top about it. The trees are old. It's shady. It's absolutely gorgeous. There are a lot of winding paths you can go and explore and poke around. It's one of these parks that you could spend hours not riding anything, just poking around in little shops and museums and attractions.
And that's a funny thing that you say it like that, because if you took someone there who had never been there and just said, this is not a theme park, you just told them, this is a restored village, that kind of place to go to see what life was like, you literally could walk around and not see a single ride or a single coaster.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere you could take the whole family. Grandma will have fun. The grandkids will have fun. There's something for everyone at that park, absolutely.
As opposed to like a chain park where if someone doesn't ride big coasters or rides, that it could be a lot of nothing to do. On to the headliners and, of course, the coasters themselves. And we saw you having a lot of fun on a couple of them. Before I want to put any words in your mouth, and not to bottle you down to one favorite coaster, but what were some of the highlights for you with the first time on those coasters?
I think the highlight for me was definitely Time Traveler. You know, a lot of people sort of naysayed that ride when it first came out. They were worried about the spin, I believe, as we all were, it making us sick. But it is absolutely fantastic.
And it's interesting bringing that point up with the spinning. I would not call it a spinning coaster. I was thinking about it this morning. They should call it a rotating coaster. I know that doesn't sound as sexy as maybe as headline grabbing, but I think it rotates more than it spins. I think that's a better word for it.
Yeah,
right?
There's never a time where you make a full rotation at once. Now, your car will make rotations, but it's over 50 to 100 feet of track that it takes to make the full rotation. And what it does for the ride is that you get a completely different experience every single time that you ride it.
Which is amazing, to go through an inversion multiple times and be at different spots. Sometimes looking up at the inversion, sometimes staring straight down. Such a weird thing.
Yeah, it feels so weird when you're going through inversion while spinning.
Kevin, why did your voice change so much at that point?
I'm not sure.
Very weird. It's almost like he reversed puberty. That was odd. But no, completely agree. And interesting, and that wasn't necessarily what I thought of the first coaster that you were going to mention. Because I know there were a couple of others that were really special to you yesterday and especially last night.
Yeah, the elusive night rides on Outlaw Run. I'm pretty sure that Silver Dollar City closes relatively early. Fortunately, we were there for the Moonlight Madness event. So the park was open until midnight. Got some really out of control, insane rides on Outlaw Run. Outlaw Run at night is just ruthless. It's pitch black. It's an insane coaster at night.
A lot better. And it's interesting, some of us were talking last night where they take your picture and those flashes go off. For those 5 seconds after that, you have no clue where you're going. You can't see anything.
Yeah, so it's so disorienting.
Adds another kind of interesting element. A great night ride as well. Although once you've done Voyage at night, I feel like any other night ride in comparison is nowhere near as crazy, but still a great night ride. So we've got two with Time Traveler and Outlaw Run. Another special coaster for you, I know that you were doing last night was, and I think you got a ton of rides on that last night.
Yeah, I sort of fell in love with Thunderation. This is an old aero coaster. Imagine Carolina Gold Rusher at Carowinds, but on steroids.
Amazing, and I know that Slater's probably sentimentally his favorite coaster, and the speed that thing picks up. You think of Six Flags and Cedar Fair Mine Rides, like you said, Gold Rusher, and this is just so radically different. And you think, if every aero coaster was like that, how great would they be? So I know you and CM Venom got a bunch of rides on that last night.
Yeah, I think Venom and I found that we fell in love with the forces on the Helix. The bottom of that Helix, when it goes into the tunnel, is so forceful. It's almost like, imagine an aero mine ride with the Helix from the Beast.
Yes, perfectly stated. And I love how it starts slow and you're like, okay, we're going to go in circles, but then it hits that third gear and it's just nuts. Such a fun element.
What do you think, Silver Dollar City or Downey?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I'm going to have to put the hammer down and say Silver Dollar City.
Yeah. And funny enough, even until yesterday, I thought Silver Dollar City better overall park, but I think I like Dollywood's coasters better. But now I think I flip-flop. If I'm thinking about arrows, Tennessee Tornado I like a lot. I think it's great and smooth. I like Thunderation better.
Yeah, I think that's sort of a difficult comparison.
They are so different, exactly.
Yeah, I love Wild Eagle. I feel like Mystery Mine has some age on it now. Thunderhead has some age. And the coasters at Silver Dollar City have also aged a bit. So it's kind of hard to compare the two coaster collections. They almost come in relatively even maybe, but I think Time Traveler might have put Silver Dollar City a little over the top.
Boom, and that's where I totally agree. If we're going company by company, B&Ms, I think I'm going Wildfire over Wild Eagle. I think so. I think to me Wildfire is just a little bit more intense, those views from the top, and I think they're pretty close as well.
Yeah, the views from the coasters at Silver Dollar City, it's interesting. There's so much coverage of trees in that park that you get to the top of a coaster and look down and you can't see the park. It's like you're in a forest. All you see is the treetop.
And that is really interesting. Like Thunderation and Time Traveler, there you don't get views. But where Powder Keg and Wildfire are, all of a sudden you're above the tree line and you see those vistas in the distance. And I think it almost makes you at the top of those want to say, oh no, don't go down the hill too quickly. I want to look at those views.
Yeah, what a fantastic setting for a park. The Ozark Mountains are so beautiful. It's not a place I've ever been to in my life before. I spent my childhood going to the Smoky Mountains. Very familiar with the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. And the Ozarks are small. Branson's at about, I think, 720 feet elevation, so they're not way up there. But the geography and the plant life is so unique. It doesn't look like anywhere else I've ever been in the country.
Very different, thoroughly agree. It almost feels like being in another country. Final thoughts about your overall Coasterradio Meetup experience and what the whole thing was like for you?
I think that this meetup will be the one that really has pushed things over the edge. The amount of people that were there. 100? Not only the attendance, but the giveaways, the activities, how big it's gotten. I think Mike and EB even were probably a little surprised at how big this thing has grown into. But more importantly, all of the friendships that are made. I love seeing old friends. I love making new friends. Every time I go to a Coasterradio meetup, I always walk away with new friends. And I love to add that to the collection. I mean, coaster credits are one thing. Friend credits are much more important.
Because those are the ones you can depend on all the time. So I think that's just beautifully stated. So I agree with what Silver Dollar City did, what the folks at Bigfoot did, and all those giveaways. It's just been amazing. And let's just hope it keeps growing. And I think for the first time, as you said, with the growth, that they could hit triple digits next year. And that's a pretty amazing thought from where it started.
Yeah, very true.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for giving us your thoughts on the overall weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. And I think it's now time to go find the fish of the day. Fish of the day. It's the fish of the day.
Yeah. What do you think it might be? What's the fish of the day, buddy?
Rainbow fish.
Rainbow fish. That sounds awesome. Oh, cool.
So that was awesome to be able to sit down, as he always has a comedic spin that he puts on things. For those of you who listen to all our episodes, really early on, I think it was our second or third episode. It's been so long ago, I don't remember. But we did that skit of the kid who was trying to get on Fury for the first time, and Kevin lended his voice for the ride op who was measuring the kid who was bouncing on pogo sticks and had stilts to try to be tall enough to ride Fury. And I thought he did a great job with that. We're so excited for him because he mentioned that he got a role in his hometown of North Carolina, a one-man play that he's loved and wanted this role for a long time. A lot of his friends, a lot of this group of roller coaster enthusiasts are going to try to see him at some point. We're so psyched for him. So a lot of cool things that he stated and a lot of the roller coasters that he loved. Another person who chose Time Traveler as his favorite. Our last person that we interviewed on this trip was our good buddy Goliath, another important member of the Ride This One podcast. And for those of you who are into possibly hearing different podcasts, and a very different one that we do here, and like something a little bit more racy or 10 billion times more racy, and if you're not familiar with it, definitely check out the Ride This One podcast. Those guys are very entertaining. The production, the skits that they do are pretty hilarious. A lot of great writing. So if you're not offended easily, definitely check out the Ride This One podcast. This was after our trip to Six Flags Over Georgia, where we had some deep dish pizza. By this point in our trip, this was almost towards the end. I don't know about you, but I was getting a little worn out on theme park food. Were you feeling that too?
Yeah.
Did you like the deep dish pizza?
Yes, it was great.
Do you like it better than thin crust, would you say?
Yes.
I agree. So we thank Goliath for bringing us to that restaurant, as it's absolutely delicious, and I know a favorite of his, as he always tries to get there after going to Six Flags Over Georgia. So let's hear what you have to say.
Let's do it.
And we've saved one of the best for last. Coasterradio Meetup, almost over, and we are at Silver Dollar City, right?
Absolutely, Silver Dollar City.
Is that what?
Yeah, Silver Dollar City.
Alex,
yep.
right? or we have time traveled. And we've heard from so many different people on their first visits to Silver Dollar City. And we are so happy to have Goliath from the Ride This One podcast on you. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Why, thank you. Thanks for having me.
We would always have you. Your first visit to Silver Dollar City, right?
Absolutely. It was. Well, no, it wasn't my first time. I went when I was 2.
Oh, 2.
My mom has a picture of me riding the log flume when I was 2.
When you were on that log flume when you were 2, did you make people wet by splashing the people who were in front of you on that boat?
No, that's a new thing.
Okay, that's
a new thing.
That's a new thing. What did we call it? The what splash?
Reverse splash?
Reverse splash, yeah. Six Flags reverse splash, exactly. And funny enough, when you were 2, you were probably tall enough to get onto every single coaster height-wise.
Probably, that would make sense. And I'd actually be small enough, skinny enough to actually be able to ride something.
Well, what are you, 6'5"-ish? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm 6'5", and I'm 350.
Very tall.
Yes.
In contrast, you've been to Dollywood double-digit times, right?
Oh, yeah, easily double digits. Maybe triple digits. I don't know. I've been there a lot.
So you've got that comparison to make. That's great. You know Dollywood so well. Were you able to do everything? Did you get into the cave tour and those kind of things?
We didn't do the cave tour. Okay. It was a lot of walking at the end of the day, and we were tired, so...
There was a lot of stuff to do that day, and it's tough.
There was a lot.
And when you only have one day, it's hard to pack everything in.
Exactly. We could have gone earlier. We could have done the quarter... They were like the early 3, whatever they were doing, but we didn't. We went to Bigfoot on the Strip.
Oh, yeah. Thoughts about the atmosphere, the aura of the park?
It was really well themed. I love the theming, and they themed everything very well. The Grand Exposition was absolutely gorgeous. It blew Dollywood's kids area out of the water.
Oh, yeah, which really needs to be rethemed after a while.
It definitely needs to be, why is it themed that way?
Thoroughly agree there. Now, in terms of food, since you are a foodie, that was one of your biggest concerns, right?
That's not a concern. It was lacking. The only good food I had was we had the fry bread. That was good. And then we went to this buffet, and Miss Lillian needs to teach Molly how to make chicken.
So there's some chicken issues there, and that's very important.
It was dry, and it was... Six Flags Chickens today was better.
Oh dear, and that's saying a lot. So the gauntlet thrown down there. Food needs some work.
Yes.
And we didn't even get any cinnamon bread. Did you get that cinnamon bread that day?
I didn't get cinnamon bread. It was interesting that they had peach and apple.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
I went in, and then I didn't go till later, and then it was closed.
Okay. One thing that I thought that was interesting that you said today about the app was something that they have on there about the coasters.
Yeah, one of the things that was really interesting to me was a sheet that told when the rides would close for like weather, for like how far Thunder is away from the app, from the park, as well as how low it can go. A ride can be ridden as far as how low,
temperatures, right?
The temperature, how low it'll go.
Which is great that the general public can find that out so they'll know, and they don't have to ask the ride ops over and over, why is this ride not open? Boom, you've got that info right there.
I'd like the general public are really going to read that, but, you know.
Right, how many are going to look at the app to begin with?
But no, at least they run their coasters during their holiday events. Carowinds.
Yeah, any Cedar Fair. It really is kind of embarrassing right now.
It is.
How few.
It is. They need to come to Six Flags over Georgia to one of the best Christmas events ever.
Yes. Hearing any compliment about Six Flags is wonderful to hear. Speaking of coasters, I know you enjoyed a number of the coasters at Silver Dollar City. Some of the highlights for you in terms of ones that really surprised you or you really enjoyed?
The first one that really surprised me that I actually got on was Time Travel. I was not expecting to ride it. At Media Day, they talked about 40% of people walk of shaming, and I got on it twice, and it was magic. It moved up to number 3 on my list.
And that's saying a lot. And so, since you say number 3, we've got to let the listeners know number 2 and number 1. We can't leave them hanging like that.
Well, Fury's number 1, obviously.
Yep.
And Goliath at Over Georgia is number 2.
That makes sense, hence the name and all that.
Yeah, we're eating Chicago-style deep dish at Silver Dollar City.
Yes, Chicago deep dish. A lot of people didn't know that existed at Silver Dollar City. But funny enough, we did actually time travel our last ride of the night, we decided to time travel. We set the gauges. We're in Atlanta, about a week into the future, after going to Six Flags Over Georgia for a few minutes. Then we're going to zip back in time, back to the meetup. So coasters, yes, the headliners, of course. You really enjoyed time travel.
It was special. It was the first coaster that made me go, wee, I want to go, just giggle. That's the best way to describe it. It was so different. It wasn't really strong, really intense. Like a lot of people, my favorite coaster is this really intense one. This one was just fun.
And what aspect of it was fun?
Not knowing where you were going, just going, taking elements that you're used to, but flipping around, like rotating while you're doing it, like going up over those the top hats or whatever they're called, and facing up. It was really cool.
And for you, do spinning rides tend to bother you? Like in teacups, nothing?
Not really,
okay.
Not really, and this one really wasn't that spinny. I mean, what's it called?
It was Cobra's Curse.
Cobra's Curse was spun more than Time Traveler.
Right. Okay. All right, so your favorite coaster there, and now in your top three. Other coasters that you went up doing,
that I
loved.
I really enjoyed Thunderation. Thunderation is, nobody talks about it. It was amazing.
Yep.
It was so much fun. It's the best mine ride ever.
And this is coming from someone who loves Disney, so that's saying a lot.
Oh yeah, Disney mine rides suck.
Okay, see, that's something we don't know. Okay, even with the theming, they still...
I mean, they're great. They're good rides, but as far as coaster goes, this one just manhandles it. It was great.
That's so great to hear.
I think Thunderation is the hidden gem of all the coasters in the park.
Absolutely. That's a great point. It might not be the best one, but it's the most surprising one with the forces that it generates. And for me, talking about a coaster you love at Dollywood, this to me is better than Tennessee Tornado. I enjoy it more because it is longer and does more.
The original Tennessee Tornado was supposed to be longer. Ran out of money.
That would have been interesting to see what the original design was.
Right.
I'd love to see those blueprints.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of rides that were designed to be longer, kind of interesting what you mentioned about your second favorite coaster, Goliath, and those rumors you heard about being shortened a little bit.
Oh yeah, the rumor is that instead of the first hill ending, or the bottom of the first hill ending where it was, the original plan was to remove the bathroom there and go into a tunnel.
You're happy with the decision to keep the bathroom, right? It is a great bathroom.
It's a bathroom. It's a bathroom.
Alex,
I used it today.
Alex, did you enjoy that bathroom under Goliath?
Yeah.
Thank you for those details.
Well, I didn't go in it, but I saw it, and I think it was a great choice to keep it because it was the headliner bathroom in the park.
It really is. The color, that teal and black, you don't see those colors too much anymore. It's a throwback.
It's even better than those Disney toilets I heard about.
Tangled bathroom.
And what is special about that one?
They're expensive, and they're very well themed to Tangled. It's
Yeah.
like Tangled, yes, you get a ride, you get a bathroom. Congratulations. But they do have a new restaurant with the people from Tangled, and it is amazing.
Wow, that's the level of theming you expect out of Disney. I believe Powder Keg was another one that you went up doing.
Powder Keg was a blast.
A pun intended. What up? Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. And
I wasn't expecting to ride it, but I used my. I won because I knew what guano was.
Yes.
I won that Super Diamond Mega Edition pass.
Yes, exactly. It's always good to know your guano.
Oh, the Super Trailblazer.
Yes.
Trailblazer.
Alex, what is guano?
Babu.
It's exactly. See, everyone knows guano.
I knew it right. Like, Ace Ventura.
Yes.
Guano.
I mean, who can't know the guano?
Everyone should know guano.
And by guano, we mean some of the food that we ate.
So disappointing, which is why it's great that we're getting good food now.
Yeah.
Train ride? Did you wind up doing train?
I didn't do train.
Yeah, there's just so many things there.
The shooter ride was fun.
Yes.
Shooter ride was fun.
Flooded Mine?
Flooded Mine was cool. But I'm going to tell you guys that right here, people are going to be like, what? They're going to be like crashing their cars. Personally, I think that Fire in the Hole is not as good as Blazing Fury.
Oh my gosh, pull over right now before the crashes ensue. If you're driving, pull over now. Why did you like it better?
Fire in the Hole is just so fast. And the car's going so fast that you don't know what you're seeing. The scenes move so fast that I got off the ride and I was like, what did I just watch? Or what did I just do? Blazing Fury is a more well put together story.
So you would say that's a controversial opinion, that in the coaster community...
Everybody loves Fire in the Hole. Blazing Fury's better.
You've heard that here. Do you remember it enough to be able to compare them?
I think Blazing Fury has a lot more storyline because all Fire in the Hole is about...
What were those guys' names?
The Bald Knobbers.
Yeah.
But, like, why are you guys laughing?
No. It's just the storyline is so strange. That's why we're laughing. But
Sure.
The bald knobbers, were they a little scary for you, those bald knobbers? Okay, Alex, once again, just ingenious. They're kind of weird in those masks.
And also, I don't really get it. Like, the name is weird because Fire in the Hole, the Bald Knobbers, have nothing to do with fire.
Exactly. That was exactly my point. Why are we Fire in the Hole? What's the... Plus, yes, somebody says, oh, they had a dog. I guess there was a Dalmatian that walks around the park.
Right.
Did you guys meet the dog?
No, when we went, the dog wasn't there last year either.
I didn't see him. Somebody saw him earlier.
So it's a good point. Robbing bald knobbers versus fires. Maybe they're starting the fires that the firemen have to put out.
Maybe. It just didn't make sense. Plus, that really, the center, the water area looked beautiful.
Yeah.
It was like going so fast that you couldn't see it.
Interesting point.
I did like the splash.
Where you really do get a little bit wet when you ride it, so that was kind of fun. Any other things that you got to ride, or did we cover everything that you really rode that day? Because I know there was so many other Coasterradio stuff we had going on.
That was really it. The Bigfoot on the strip drop tower was great.
That's what I was going to bring up.
We need Stan Checkett to come into other parks and replace stupid drop rides like Zoom and Boro and fucking Spearman.
Which happens to be closed an awful lot. And did that increase the fear factor for you having just a seatbelt on?
No.
Or thrilling?
The Disney one, Tower Terror has a seatbelt as well.
Really? Okay, see, I didn't even know that was the restraint system. Any other theme park plans for the year for you, or is this pretty much rounded out?
Well, I'm going down to IAP in November. So, and after IAP, I'm going to go Disney.
Okay, and that's your first IAPA, the second IAPA, okay. So you're going to do any filming?
I'll be running around with video camera.
Okay.
We've got we've got passes that we can do live video and all that stuff. We're doing live broadcast for Coaster Addict.
Very nice. So check that out on coasteraddict.com.
And our YouTube channel.
Check that out, because that'll be really cool to see what is coming. We look forward to hearing about the IAPA trip. Absolutely. And then hearing you on Ride this one as well. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So that was very cool to hear from our buddy. We mentioned the log flume there. Do you remember what he did on the log flume at Over Georgia, which we'll talk about that trip in another episode?
No.
He decided, as he was sitting in the back, he decided that we weren't getting wet enough on the little drops.
Oh, yeah. So he splashed us from behind.
Yeah. After the first one, I was like, oh, that wasn't too bad. That's great. My shoes are dry. I'm doing well. And then all of a sudden, the torrents of water came flying from behind us as our shirts got absolutely soaked from him. But just added to the fun. The Tangled bathroom, that was kind of cool to hear about that. So if we ever do make it to Disney, we'll have to be sure to check out the Tangled bathroom, right?
Tangled bathrooms, yeah.
Sounds better than any ride there, right?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
No pun intended. It sounds because there's sounds in there.
Are there?
Yeah.
Of like her singing? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or sounds of people taking care of number 2?
Yeah.
Now, Disney plays that over the speakers. That's surprising.
And there's just a ton of flushing.
A ton of flushing. Those are all imported sounds.
Yes.
That makes no sense. And cool information, which I never heard before, that Tennessee tornado wasn't supposed to be longer, and it makes sense as it is so short that I guess they grew short on funds and had to make it a shorter ride. So psyched to hear his reports about IAPA when he goes, and we always love hanging out with our buddy Goliath at Over Georgia, and we'll be chatting about that more coming up. So what an exciting week Today, the Canada's Wonderland announcement came out. We've got Kings Island stuff coming out tomorrow, as this is in the midst of the exciting end of the summer announcements. We've got National Roller Coaster Day happening tomorrow. So lots of cool things coming out, and we're going to chat about those as we go. Very soon after this, we'll upload our next episode talking about the rest of our trip and get back into the news and all those exciting things happening. Thanks so much for checking us out. Hopefully you enjoyed all of the stories of the first timers and what they thought of the park. And thank you to all those who participated. Really helped, and we love hearing from them.
Yeah, that was very helpful and nice. And thank you to all we interviewed.
Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City is a coaster we can tout.
Especially me. Number 200. Booyah! Andrew out.